Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. The turgid tale that I'm about to tell dates back to my sophomore year at Humboldt State University, which was September of 1987. I was driving around on a Saturday night with two of my friends, Mike and Chris. Our first stop was to one of our favorite hangouts, Sharky's Arcade, where we played Galaga, Ms. Pac-Man, Joust, and an array of other, what is now termed, classic video games. That makes me feel a little bit old. After our tokens had expired, we weren't exactly sure what to do next. We discussed this or that option. Then Chris smiled and said, "Meow, meow." Mike joined in with a hearty woof, woof, woof. So off to the grocery store we went. We did a little bit of shopping, but for a lot of one item. Mike went to the cash register, got out a $10 bill to pay. Then it occurred to him, there is something a little bit suspicious about three adolescent males in a grocery store at 10:30 p.m. on a Saturday night buying several cartons of eggs. Sometimes in life, you have to say something. You have no time to rehearse, and there's no do-overs. We're having a big breakfast tomorrow. Our grandparents and all our cousins will be there. Chris looked like he wanted to crawl in a hole and die. Is there room in that hole for me too? Thank God Mike didn't have a credit card to pay for the eggs. Now, it's not the principle of egging that really bothered me at that moment. Because to be completely honest with you, in my past, I did throw an egg in malice. Actually, 2 eggs. Let's rewind. Not to my sophomore year in college, but my sophomore year in high school. I was hanging out with who was then my best friend, David, hence the confusion of names. And we decided to each grab an egg and go to this kid Jay's house we both hated, throw the eggs at his house, and run away. And considering that recently one of his stupid whippets did something really gross on my front lawn, I figured that some sort of retaliation was in order. So we grabbed our eggs, we ran there in the dead of the night, threw them, and ran away. David's eggs landed short on the driveway. Both of mine struck their intended target. And looking back on the matter, considering that I found out online many, many years later that both Jay and his father got arrested at some point, they were corrupt businessmen. That was also available online. I'm not sure if those two facts are related or not. And hey, I threw eggs and got away with it. Justin Bieber can eat his heart out. My only regret is we didn't bring more eggs. But enough of December of 1983. Let's move forward to September of 1987. My problem with Mike and Chris's adventure was, first off, I was 18 at this point. That meant I was a legal adult, which meant I could get into legal problems. Furthermore, their goal was not to throw those eggs at the house of a creepy family that deserved it, but rather at stray dogs and cats. And I am way too much of an animal lover to have any part in that. But I did not drive. I didn't have any taxi money to go home on my own, so I was stuck in the back seat of Mike's Mustang. And for about an hour, we cruised the streets as Chris and Mike threw their eggs. I don't know if they hit anything or not, but for some reason they seemed to think it was funny to watch those dogs and cats scatter. I had nothing to do with it. I wish I stayed home and tried to get to know my new roommate. Eventually, though, we had enough. We started driving back to the dorms. Chris realized we're close. There are 3 traffic signs left on the way home. And conveniently, he had 1, 2, 3 eggs left. So as Mike drove, 1, splat, 2, splat, and then the 3rd. We didn't hear a splat. We heard a sound, a much worse sound than a splat, a siren. So we pull over. Mike started reaching for his driver's license. Chris was busy kicking the egg cartons under the passenger seat to hide the evidence. I'm sitting in back thinking, great. I did not throw a single egg. I didn't do anything. I didn't want to do anything. I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to get kicked out of college for something that I didn't even do. The cop approached Mike. Gee, officer, is there a problem? Yes, there is a problem. Did you know that you were driving 35 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone? No, I did not, officer. I'm really sorry about that. Then let that be a warning. Watch your speed. And then the officer got into a squad car and drove away. We got back to the dorms. I caught my 40 winks of sleep, woke up the next morning, and had a big breakfast. But nothing scrambled, poached, or fried. Thank you, fellas.